We're really doing this. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to the final episode of Disneydude. So the ultimate question is, why did I even decide to go ahead and end Disneydude in the first place? Short answer, I don't enjoy making this show anymore. Long answer, well, that's it actually. As time went on, this show became more of a priority. And you can definitely see how much of a priority it was in 2020, given on how there wasn't a lot of episodes last year. And basically, I didn't want to just end the show without saying anything. So I figured I'd just do one last Disneydude episode. And what better way to end a show about Disney than with my top 10 favorite Disney movies? Yes, we're doing it, suckers. Eat me. Now, in order to qualify for this list, it has to been either made or bought out by the Walt Disney Company. And we're not going to include any of the Fox movies. At least the ones that were released before Disney bought them out. Because that would just be cheating. So basically we're only including Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and Touchstone Pictures. Good? Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This film does everything that a sequel should do. It expands upon the story, and everything is grander and bigger. Now, pretty much everybody knows on how fantastic this movie is, in fact, but some of you might wonder why it's on number 10 of the list. Well, for starters, Disney didn't really make it, they bought it out, but, since Disney still owns it, I guess it counts. First of all, the characters are just as great as ever. All of the recurring ones are still stay themselves and they grow a little bit. And the new ones are just as fantastic, such as Lando Calrissian, Emperor Palpatine, Boba Fett, and Yoda. The special effects are also really good, with some amazing puppetry and miniatures and suits and all types of practical effects. And unlike the other special editions in the original trilogy, this version doesn't really have any really distracting additions when it comes to special effects. And anyway, it actually makes it somewhat better, since we do get to see more of the creature that attacks Luke in the beginning of the movie. Not to mention, it has one of the greatest movie twists of all time. It has gone down in history as one of the most iconic twists in film history, and basically nobody saw it coming, and it shocked many different people when it was said. I also really like the romance between Han and Leia. I don't know, I think their personalities work good off each other and they have some good chemistry. I think they were a decent couple. Although I will admit, Han saying "I know" when Leia says that she loves him is kind of a dick move. Seriously, if you say that, if somebody says that to you, dump him immediately, or her for that matter. Also, the puppetry on Yoda is amazing. That's Frank Oz doing the voice and puppetry, and with his experience with the Jim Henson Company, he absolutely knocks it out of the park in both his performance and the puppetry. He just is a phenomenal job and easily one of the highlights of the movie. And there are so many different highlights of this movie that it's impossible to list them all in just a small amount of time. It's such a good movie. Please, if you guys have not seen it for some reason, go watch it now. It is easily the best Star Wars movie by far. Fantasia. It's funny on how Disney wanted to try something completely different for their third movie. Whereas Snow White and Pinocchio were some narrative fairy tales. Here, they decided to do something that's not narrative, doesn't really have much of a story, and barely any dialogue. Like, they have multiple stories, not even most of them are really being stories. Some of them are just visual randomness that just goes along with the music. And this film is a work of art, really. It's the closest thing we have to legit art as an animated movie. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. Probably the best Walt era animated Disney movie. And let me just say it, not everybody will enjoy this movie because I imagine a lot of people will get very bored by the lack of dialogue and the slow classical music. And I can safely say that this is not the type of Disney movie that are mainly aimed towards kids. Now, the Mickey Mouse cartoon is a bit of an exception. Which, fun fact, that's actually the reason this movie exists. Walt wanted to create a short with Mickey Mouse doing this magic broom stuff set to this music, but Walt and Leopold Stokowski had a lot of fun making it, and the budget got pretty big, so they were like, screw it, let's make more of these and make it a movie. And yeah, with the exception of that short, this is pretty much just mainly an adult Disney movie, and I think it's fantastic. Not to say that kids can't watch this and enjoy it, but it's not their movie. It's made for the grown-ups. And besides, there's some pretty screwed up stuff in here, like Night on Bald Mountain. And this movie is beautiful, fantastic. The animation is absolutely phenomenal. And we could have had more of these. Yeah, we could have had an entire film franchise of this. They were going to make a sequel to this. In fact, numerous sequels where a few years would go by and you get a new Fantasia movie. We'll get some new segments and some returning segments. But since the film was a flop, they didn't really decide to make it a series. Now, it did make some money, but it didn't really bring back its budget since the film was expensive as frick. But it does have a significant place in film history as the first film in surround sound. But regardless of the fact, I think this film is still fantastic, and anyone who hasn't seen it should definitely do themselves a favor. It truly is Disney's masterpiece. Toy Story 2. Okay, I'm gonna admit, I had a very hard time picking which Toy Story film was my favorite. Obviously, it wasn't Toy Story 4, even though I do think it was a pretty good movie. But choosing between the first three movies, I had a lot of hard time. But I decided to go with Toy Story 2 because I think I have the most fond memories with this one, and I think it's the most interesting one to talk about. Also, is it just me, or does every single Toy Story movie kind of follows the same numbers? I mean, Toy gets lost, Toy makes a big deal about being there for the kid, and Toy figures its way back to the kid. With the exception of the fourth movie, where the toy actually stays lost and becomes a found toy again. But anyway, this one I think is actually pretty good because it introduces several new characters that would become fan favorites, such as Jessie, Bullseye, Mrs. Potato Head, and even one-off characters such as Stinky Pete, the evil Emperor Zurg, and another Buzz Lightyear that goes through the exact same thing that the first one did in the first movie. We also get some backstory with Jessie on how her owner pretty much abandoned her. And she's not just the sourpuss stick in the mud. She's a very fun, energetic character. And the villains aren't that bad either. I mean, if you would technically call Al a villain or something, I don't know. Stinky Pete has a pretty good motivation, and you can see where he's coming from. It's just the fact that he tries to force his views on everybody else, which what ultimately makes him kind of a bad guy. And you almost sympathize with Woody for wanting to stay with Jessie and all the other toys, because Woody could be sent to a museum where kids from all across the world would just go to see where he exists. He won't be just restricted to just one kid. He'll be loved and adored forever. There's only so many things that I can say about this movie. So if you haven't seen it for some reason, first of all, you have no childhood or you are a literal infant. Second of all, well, just go watch it now. It truly is a Pixar classic. The Lion King. Yeah, I know this is literally on everybody's favorite Disney films list, no matter which side of Disney you're looking on, but dang it, it's still such a good movie and freaking amazing movie as well. And basically, for those of you who don't know for some reason, it's Shakespeare with talking lions. Now, that concept may sound incredibly stupid and bonkers, but they surprisingly make it work, and it's actually a very well made movie. And yeah, it's the closest thing Disney has made to friggin' Shakespeare. It's kind of a masterpiece, really. Now, the animation, of course, is freaking phenomenal. If I ever get the chance to watch this movie on the big screen, I think I'll do it. Of course, when we're out of COVID, but still, mainly because this movie looks amazing with its animation. It's just a big looking movie. It's fantastic. The characters are all very memorable too. Simba, Nala, Scar, Mufasa, Timon, Pumbaa, Zazu. Everyone has a memorable personality and memorable lines and memorable designs, memorable voices, memorable everything. These are all great characters and they're all so memorable and I love them. And the songs are also great too. Well, Can You Feel the Love Tonight is a bit, boring. It's the song and the soundtrack that I would skip, but the rest of the songs are great, such as I Can't Just Wait to Be King, Hakuna Matata, Be Prepared, and the best song in the movie by far, Circle of Life. And although I've yet to see the Broadway show, yeah, go ahead and hate on me for the comments as much as you want. I've heard that it also has amazing songs in it. Some of them are even from the sequel, Simba's Bride. I have listened to some of the songs from the Lion King musical, and they're pretty good. And I'm really looking forward to one day seeing the actual show itself. But anyway, in terms of the rest of the movie, yeah, there's not much I can say for it. Just go watch it now if you've yet to see it. It became one of the biggest movies in the 90s and the highest grossing animated film of all time for about a decade for a reason. And even though now it's not the highest grossing animated film of all time, it's still the highest grossing hand drawn animated movie of all time. And that, I mean, it's still number one in something, so that's pretty dope. Anyway, Lion King is fantastic. Definitely watch this instead of the horrible live action remake. Ugh. Avengers Infinity War. The culmination of 10 years worth of movies and build-up, all to result in one epic anniversary film. Now, just a heads up. If you have not seen a single film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it is completely pointless to even attempt to watch this movie because this is one of those movies that is made for the fans. Like, if you caught up with all the movies throughout the years, then this is basically Marvel's reward to you. Now, let's talk about what's easily the best thing about this movie, Thanos. Thanos is an amazingly complex villain. You think that he's just collecting all the Infinity Stones just to take over the world because he's a bad guy. But no, he actually wants to destroy half of the universe because he feels that the universe is unbalanced and it gone to chaos. So he thinks that eliminating half of everything would bring balance. He doesn't even care who or what it is. As long as half of the universe is gone, it'll be okay. And the Avengers and everyone else are kind of side characters, really, because this is Thanos' movie, really. Now, normally that would be sort of a bad thing, but because we've had several different movies building up of who these characters are and we know their personalities, they can do that. They can get away with this. And speaking of the characters, it's great to finally see some characters interact with each other, like Doctor Strange and Tony Stark, Star-Lord and Thor, Rocket and Thor, and T'Challa and Bruce Banner. It's lots of fun seeing these characters finally interact with each other, and yeah, it's a great time. And of course, there were the tragic deaths. Yeah, we lost a few major players in this movie. Now, since the movie's been out for about almost 3 years now, I'm pretty sure I can give away who died easily. Yeah, we tragically lost Loki, Gamora, and Vision. Although, we would eventually see more from all three of these characters in the future. Loki be at the Disney Plus show, Gamora being an alternate universe version of her in Endgame, and Vision in some way, shape, or form in WandaVision on Disney Plus, which if you have not seen, I highly recommend. It is a fantastic show. Mwah, fantastic. And of course, the very end of the film where it looks like that half of the Avengers have up and died. Overall, Avengers Infinity War is fantastic. I think it's possibly the best film in the MCU, with by far their best villain, and just fantastic all around. If you have not seen it, go check it out already. It truly is a blast. Soul. The common vibe that people usually get from watching this movie, or even from watching the trailers, is Inside Out meets Coco. Yeah, that's pretty valid. I mean, it does share the same director as Inside Out. Man, it does have a bit of a music theme from Coco, with troubled artists trying to make it big in the music stuff, and the whole mind thing, whatever, from Inside Out. But I think it goes far beyond what Inside Out and Coco have said, because this movie is about life and death and the meaning of life. Yeah, basically the point of this movie is to find the meaning of life and basically just answer whatever philosophers have been trying to answer for decades, maybe even centuries. I'm just gonna get the deep stuff out of the way before I get to the fun stuff. That the point of life is to live it. Enjoy the little things, like sit outside on a sunny day and just take a moment to breathe. That is the point of life, to enjoy the little things. And yes, it's great to follow your dreams. It's great to follow your passions and to do what makes you happy, but don't lose track of life and don't lose track of yourself and all the people around you. Because we see characters like Joe who thinks that the little things in life are just meaningless, and he much rather just prefer to pursue his dreams of becoming a big jazz musician. While we see 22 who discovers the small little things in life, like pizza and some leaves falling from a tree, and she absolutely adores it. She thinks it's fantastic, and yeah, that perfectly describes the moral of the movie. To just live your life, go ride a bike, like go swimming, just enjoy life. But aside from deep stuff, there's also some great characters. The characters I think are really likable. Joe is great. 22's funny. I like Joe's mom. She's pretty nice. his former student that became a friend. He's kind of fun. The characters are great. The animation is phenomenal. This is Pixar at its best. Like, this animation looks so good. Almost, there's some points where I almost thought it was live action. Like, it looked so good. And in complete contrast to the realistic, almost live action looking real world, we have the Souls world, like The Great Before and The Great Beyond, which is very simple, very cartoony style, which is also similar to Inside Out in a way, where with Riley and her family, everything is more realistic looking, while inside Riley's head and inside all of everyone else's head, it's much more like a cartoon. And Soul is a modern day Pixar masterpiece. If you thought that Pixar lost their form in the 2010 decade with a bunch of pointless sequels, this proves that Pixar is at their absolute best when they do original stories, because this movie's freaking amazing, dude. So, yeah, if you have Disney Plus, please give it a look. I'm gonna try to not give away that many spoilers because, well, the film just came out a month ago, so yeah, go watch it if you haven't already. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Now, let's face it, most, if not pretty much everybody has seen this movie and knows what it's about, and we all know what's really good about it. And yeah, it really is a good movie. And basically, it's about this detective named Eddie Valiant who has a prejudice against cartoon characters because a Toon killed his brother. But when a Toon, Roger Rabbit, is framed for murder, Eddie has to put his prejudice aside and prove that the rabbit is innocent, while also discovering who the real killer is. This movie is absolutely fantastic in just about every way. The story, well, not a particularly good mystery, does a good job on making you never, wait, how are they going to discover who the real killer is? Because, let's face it, the audience know who the killer is simply because of how he looks. But they do a good job on building up on who the killer would be through the character's point of view, pretty much. Of course, the animation is brilliant. Even though this isn't the first attempt of combining animation with live action, it's actually been done since the beginning of animation itself, even by Disney. But this film perfected it. Basically, films like Mary Poppins and Disney's Alice comedies walked so that Roger Rabbit could run. It looks absolutely amazing. Richard Williams and his team did a fantastic job, and it's easily their best work. And the characters are also really, really fun. With Roger, and Jessica, and Eddie, Benny the Cat, Baby Herman, Judge Doom is freaking terrifying. And of course, all of the amazing cartoon cameos from characters from different Disney cartoons and Warner Brothers cartoons, Paramount cartoons, Universal cartoons, the works. With a great story, phenomenal animation, lovable characters, and cartoon cameos that can even put a smile on the biggest sourpuss, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is truly a masterpiece, and we still have 3 movies left. Beauty and the Beast. Hands down, the best princess movie. Now, there is so much good about this movie, and pretty much everybody agrees with how great it was. And it's notable in the animation industry since it was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. Just think about that. Best Picture! That was unheard of at the time. Sure, it didn't end up winning it, but the sheer fact that it was nominated speaks so much to how good this movie is. The story is fantastic.
Yeah, it might seem like just a simple love story, but it's so much more about a man trying to find his humanity again, and a woman who just simply wants more than what she has in her own small town. Just something grander than herself. And not to mention that the chemistry between Belle and the bees really are cute and well done when they eventually start to gain feelings for each other. The animation is absolutely beautiful. This was one of the first Disney animated movies to incorporate computer animation into the hand drawn. And shown in scenes such as the ballroom scene, the CG done really well. That, and I also really loved the character design of the Beast. I mean, just look at this thing. I mean, so beastly, so inhuman. It just, God, he looks so awesome. And it also helps that he's also such a great character with so much depth to him. Along with Belle, that all of the characters are memorable in their own way, from Lumiere to Cogsworth to Mrs. Potts to Maurice to LeFou to Gaston, to even the feather duster in the wardrobe. You'll know these characters, you'll know their faces, and you'll know their names, and you love these characters, and they're so memorable. And the songs are absolutely fantastic, getting a Broadway vibe, which is appropriate since the songwriters did have experience in Broadway, and they're all just fun and fantastic. And I love the songs. And although I will admit there are a couple skips, but for the most part, the songs are just great. And yeah, there's not much more I can say about this movie than just it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, there are some people who say that, oh, Beauty and the Beast is about Stockholm Syndrome or bestiality. Yeah, but the thing about Stockholm Syndrome is that usually the victim usually just falls in love with the kidnapper, where in the case here, they both of them legitimately fall in love with each other, and the point where they kind of have no choice to fall in love. That and the case of it being about bestiality, technically the beast is still a human. He's just trapped in a beast body, and he has to learn how to be good and be a human again. And it's get like the song. Still, Beauty and the Beast is absolutely fantastic, and if I know you've probably seen it already, but just in case you haven't, watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. Inside Out, hands down, best Pixar movie. The film is about a little girl named Riley who ends up moving to a brand new place, and her emotions have an extreme reaction, and the emotions are living creatures inside of her brain. But joy and sadness actually end up getting lost in the weirdness around her entire brain. Now they gotta get back to headquarters and make Riley feel joy and sadness again. This film is absolutely brilliant. I mentioned this earlier when I talked about Soul, and yeah, it was by the same director as Soul, and it's even better, in my opinion. Yes, this is better than Soul. The best Pixar movie, in my opinion, guys. Don't at me on that. Because there's just so much imagination, creativity, and I'm gonna admit, I did not cry while watching Soul. I freaking cried when I saw this movie. It got to me. There were actual tears coming from my eyes. And when a movie can actually make me cry, to me, that's what makes a good movie. It's one thing for a movie to make you laugh. Where this movie did make me laugh, but this film actually made me cry. My eyes were wet by the end of that scene. And it's not like a sad, it's like, oh my god, that's so sweet, it's so sad. Like, ah. But Pixar is good at making you feel the emotions. In fact, the teaser trailer for this actually had a bunch of emotional clips from Pixar movies, but still. This film isn't just sadness and stuff. It's also some funny moments where you laugh at all the things that some of the characters do. And yeah, it's great. And yeah, it's such a good movie. It's fantastic. So many possibilities for this movie, so many different things they could do in the world, and characters are great, the voice acting's great, the animation's great, the story's great, everything about this movie is just great. It's just greatness all around, and I absolutely love it so much. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just rambling at this point, so if you have not seen this movie, I know I've said that line several times throughout this entire video, but still, if you have not seen this movie, please watch it. It is a masterpiece, the best Pixar movie of all time, in my opinion. But it's not the best Disney movie, in my opinion. Not my personal favorite Disney film. Because we still have one movie left, and it's fantastic. Now, picking just 10 Disney films was incredibly hard. I really had to think about which ones are my absolute favorite out of all of the things that the company have done. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that I miss, and a lot of things that I also really love that didn't make the top 10, but that doesn't mean I don't like them. It's just that they didn't make the list, really. I still love them, but they just weren't on here. But let me know down in the comments below, what's your favorite Disney movie? Or do you have a list of what your favorites are? And keep in mind, this is including all of Disney. Disney Animation, and Pixar, and Marvel, and Star Wars, and the later Fox movies, and just all of Disney. Just tell me what your favorites are. I would really love to know. But anyway, on to number 1. Mary freaking Poppins. Yep. This is my favorite Disney movie of all time. It's probably my favorite thing that the company has ever made. It's truly a phenomenal piece of art, and it's truly Walt Disney's masterpiece. Like, a masterpiece is usually made after someone has had a lot of experience in that profession, and usually made towards the end of their career. And this is Walt Disney's masterpiece. It's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, everything that he's learned throughout his career, like animation and filmmaking and whatever, he put towards this film. And yeah, it shows. It truly is the best thing Walt Disney ever made. The story has a type of fairy tale simplicity. It's about a father who needs to spend more time with his kids, and a magical little nanny comes in and makes things better and takes the kids on a bunch of fun little adventures and stuff like that, and ultimately manages to teach the parents a bit more than teach the children. And it's cute. It's a cute little story that has so much more to it, with these lovable characters and unique settings and great songs. And let's talk about those one by one. Like, the characters are great. Mary Poppins is strict but fun. It would be so easy to turn Mr. Banks into the bad guy, but the film is very clever in not making him a bad guy. He's just a little misguided and needs to spend more time with his kids and treat them better too, because Mr. Banks is kind of a dick. It's not like those 90s kids movies like Hook or Liar Liar or The Santa Claus or Jack Frost, where they're good parent but doesn't spend a lot of time with the kid because he works a lot. No, Mr. Banks is legitimate kind of a butthole throughout this movie, and he needs to learn to be a better parent. And Bert is wonderful and charming. Yeah, I will admit, Dick Van Dyke does not do a very good Cockney accent, but he does deliver a very good, very charming performance. And his dancing is absolutely incredible. It's just fantastic. The dancing in general throughout the musical numbers, they're amazing. I love them. Yes, the songs themselves have become classics. The Sherman Brothers have done a magnificent job with all of the songs. I don't think there's a single skip in this entire soundtrack. They're that good. Well, probably The Life I Lead. That's probably the one song I'd skip on the soundtrack. But still, I mean, out of all the songs, there's only one skip. That's not bad, really. Yeah, the songs are great. The choreography throughout the songs are great. It's and the scene where they go into the animated shark world, the animation's pretty good too. I love the combination of animation and live action done decades before Roger Rabbit perfected it. Like I said before, Mary Poppins walked so that Roger Rabbit could run. And yeah, they combined the two mediums pretty well. Just everything about this movie is just pure Disney magic. And the only word to describe this movie is just magical. It's a freaking magical movie, and one that I always look forward to rewatching. And it's charming, it's fun, it's energetic, it's just a complete masterpiece of a film. And yeah, and this is why I consider Mary Poppins my number one favorite Disney movie of all time.
Now that's what I call a Disneydude series finale. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show over the last 2.5 years. It means the world to me. Now, just to let you know, I'm still going to talk about Disney movies and stuff. Just all of the animated and comic book related Disney stuff will be Toon Talk episodes now, okay? So if you want to know my thoughts on, like, I don't know, WandaVision, I guess that's coming out probably today even, if I get this video out on time. And yeah, you might see that as a Toon Talk. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show and the channel. And still gonna see me talk about Disney stuff. It's just Disneydude's not gonna be a thing anymore. Anyway, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you later. Bye.